May 9th, 2020. Another unusual morning. As you can see, we have snow. Freezing out here, 30 degrees this morning. So I wanted you to see the rhubarb patch because my goal today is to finish up those pie crusts that I made a couple days ago. And this is, snow is going to be a little different, but this is what I was taught to do. I wasn't taught to cut the rhubarb, I was taught to pull it up. Break it off. So, this is weight, well that's a little one. I'll show you a bigger one here. I know you can freeze rhubarb, I just don't know. Hopefully it will be okay today. I cut the end, pull it, I don't know why, just because Mom did, that's what to do. Cut the top, peel the opposite way. The leaves are poison, we don't do anything with them. But throw it away. So anyways, that's the start of this. I'm going to gather this, cut it, and pitch it, the leaves over there, and then we'll head to the house to start the next step of filling the pies. Well, hello, I'm back inside. I de-leafed the rhubarb stalks, brought it in, just rinsed it under cold water, each and every one. And I don't know if you can see that. It's got it over here. I just put it on my strainer board and let some of the dampness come off. So while that's doing that, of course, I've got all the ingredients, I think, arranged and ready. It's always important to do that. I'm going to show you a couple little things here that I do with my pie plates because I don't want the crust to burn. Sometimes the crust, because it's up at the top, can cook quicker than the rest of the pie. And you don't want a burnt edge. So I usually love these little pie tins. And then I cut a center out in there so I can just put them on top of the pie as it's baking. And then I check on it, of course. And then I take it off and see if it's the rest of the pie is getting done. Then I remove this so the crust can brown up. But that's always near the end of the baking time. So I'll have Papa cut that center out because, you know, I don't want to have any nicks in my hands when I do it, or maybe say something that I shouldn't. So also I want to let you know, I told you it's May 9th, and May 9th in 1981 was Papa and I's first date. And Aunt Kathy and Uncle Jim and his Aunt Donna and Myron got us together, and we went out for a supper together. So that was 39 years ago today. Clipping right along. And just so you know, on the other part of when I picked the rhubarb, and I kind of looked funny at the end, looking at Papa as he's videoing me, he kept saying, hurry, hurry. And I'm looking at him, and then I'm like trying to read his lips. And he said, can you read my lips? He had to poop. That's Papa. So we ended that, and that's all handled, and now we're restarting. So here we go. So that's for the pie plate. Now, because I have more pies, I'm going to bake 2 at a time in the oven. I take some foil because I don't have any more of these tin ones. And I measured this, you know, circled it on there and folded it in half. And I'll cut that out, and then I'll cut the center so that I have the rings that they're just light and foil. And that's kind of hard for them to stay on, but hopefully it will work, and that will keep that crust from burning. So I'll catch up with that when I get to that later. And I took a small plate to, you know, to draw the outside, so you have that overhang in the middle, because you'll put it in this way, and that way it won't burn that crust. All right, so I've got everything assembled. I started Each pie takes 4 cups or so of the rhubarb. It's hard to judge because, as you can see, some are skinny, some are fat, and usually it's, if you get some nice medium stalks, it might take like 5 or so. I'll split this in half for uh, 1 pie. But you never know how much. You just kind of have to measure and go. And sometimes I have to run back up and grab a couple more. I don't like to pull off any more than what I'm going to use, although I could freeze it. It's no big deal, but for the time being, I like to keep it, especially when it's fresh. As it gets older, sometimes you have to check them real well because there is a little worm that likes to get in there, and of course you can't. You got to either cut that part off or whatever. But this is really as fresh as it can be, and it probably had to unthaw before I can work with it here this morning. So all right, so I guess we're ready to start this. So the fat ones I cut long ways, and I'll cut them again because it'll be easier to what do you call it, cut it for the pie. And usually the cut is about an inch wide here. You can do several at a time, you know, just kind of eyeball it. Rhubarb, you know, I use it for my blueberry jelly or jam. You could make jam with it. My mom used to just make a side dish for us for after a supper as our dessert. And you just cook the raw rhubarb with a little bit of water, but a lot of sugar because, you know, rhubarb is sour. I wanted to have Papa taste it because, you know, he thought it would look like celery and he almost grabbed a piece. But, you know, he likes to nibble as we go on my project. So anyways, they would cook that on the stove with a little bit of water with your sugar and just a speck of salt. And then you would put in it doesn't take long to cook. It'll cook up real fast. And then you would, after it's off the heat, put a little dab of butter and a little splash of vanilla. And you let it cool, put it in the refrigerator, and then eat it cold as a little side dish. That's actually pretty yummy. So anyways, this is the procedure for this. I had already I have 4 cups for 1 pie. Do another 4 cups. I'm only going to mix it 2 together. I thought about trying to mix all of the ingredients in my one big bowl, my super duper bowl that Papa Larry, Carter's grandpa, gave me. And that's the handiest thing for mixing up. So I got 2 cups there. I gotta cut up some more. So I'm gonna do 2 pies at a time and hope it doesn't wreck it. If you like sour things, I know my mom's sister did, and she would just eat raw rhubarb. You kids might taste it sometime because you probably think it's like those sour tarts or sweet. They're not, it's not sweet at all, but those sour things that you kids like, and you always try to get Mammy to taste it. Now I know it's going to be sour, but I taste it and I don't like it. Ooh, scrunches up my face. You notice Papa says I make a lot of noise when I'm cooking, but that's why you need good tools. Now my rhubarb, I don't know the name of it. It's just they're all referred to as a pie plant because most people make pies out of it. But it comes in different colors. Mine, I could say, mine actually started when we moved here. The neighbor lady, Mrs. Bird, on the farm beside us, came over and said, I have a big rhubarb patch, and that was a welcome to the house. I've got a little extra than the 2 cups, because I'd rather be safe that I have enough to make 2 full pies. And so I've got, a heaping 8 cups for 2 pies. All right, so I'm going to get this trusty bowl back. I'm going to, first I'm going to measure out the sugar and the cornstarch for, the cornstarch is for thickener. I usually have minute tapioca. I like that, but I don't have any. So we're going to use cornstarch as a thickener, because rhubarb is a lot of water. This is just extra I had from, made some stir fry last night. And it could run out of, as you bake your pie, it could run out and go all over your oven, and that's a mess. And so you need a thickener to put on it. I'll get my trusty recipe out here. So for 4 cups of rhubarb, that's 1 pie, that's 1.5 cups of sugar. So for 2 pies, 1.25 cups, 2.5 cups of sugar. Alright, got the sugar. Let's see, where's my, and then a dash of salt. So I'll just do it this way. I don't really measure that, so maybe 1/4 teaspoon. And it calls for cinnamon. 1 teaspoon, but it'll be 2 because of my doubling it. Back to the different types of rhubarb. Some are bright red, and you don't have to do any food coloring with it. But if I bake mine, it comes out a light green if you don't use food coloring. So my mom always, and that's the kind we had at the farm, and so I always put red food coloring in. So it'll be a pretty pinky pie. So hopefully, I did find a new one. I was afraid I didn't have enough, but I got that. All right, so I got the sugar, the salt, cinnamon. Now I need the cornstarch, and I hope that, yeah, it calls for, let's see, 2, it's usually 1/2 cup, so 4 would be 8. I think that's going to work. 2, 3, 4 first. Get another 4. The next pies might have to have some flour in it. All right, wish us luck. That'll work. I need my little whisker. Some whisker. All right. Somebody's calling. Oh, it's Aunt Barb. I'll have to get it. Sorry for the interruption. It was Aunt Barb, as you know. She'd taken a fall and broke her hip, and she just called to let me know how she was doing. So in the meantime, it gave me a break though. I turned my oven on to 400 degrees. I ran out and got 2 of the pies that have been refrigerated. So the crusts are, that's what you want. They're, it hardened up because it's been in there.
Can't see those.
Oh, you can't see the pie? Well, anyways, where do I like that? There you go. So I just took them from the refrigerator, and that will help with the baking because then that butter, as it starts to heat up, that releases, and that's what makes your crust flaky. So there's that. So now for the rest of the thing, I'm going to put 2 eggs. That's a binder. Now I just crack those separate in the bowl. I should have my thing here. Just to be sure that, you know, we don't have, since they're fresh eggs, these are Uncle Jim's super duper from his chickens. And you break the yolks slightly. Stir those together. I'm going to add my vanilla into the liquid. Calls for 1 teaspoon. Make sure it's vanilla. So this one will be 2 for the 2 pies. And then the red food coloring. You gotta watch because you get that on your hands or you stick it somewhere on your, I don't know, you just squirt it. Because this stuff will stain your dishcloths, your clothes. I'll see as I stir it when I put it in with the rhubarb if that's enough. Just 1. And then it calls for, I happen to have whipping cream. You could use milk. It calls for 4 tablespoons, I believe. Yep. So we'll put in 8. Is that 4? And 8. Alrighty. I'm going to dump my rhubarb and mix it around in here in that sugar, cinnamon, cornstarch. Ugh. Make sure you get everything coated. Something else I needed. All right, so I got that. Let me see what else before I dump that in. Rhubarb, sugar, salt, vanilla, cinnamon, egg, cornstarch, and milk and red food coloring. That's that. And I also grabbed my streusel topping and that was in the refrigerator too because that butter was cold. And that looks like it's all. You don't see any white, so you know that it's got things coated. Can you see it? So rhubarb is the oldest, I guess, plant, and it sure does keep giving. That's for sure. I have cut off some, and Amanda started. Hers is a very small patch, but it does take a while. It's kind of like when people do asparagus. I've never planted it because it takes so long to get it established. Rhubarb will come up the next year real well, but you need quite a bit to make much of anything out of it. So it takes a few years to get it going good. The asparagus, it takes like special trench and all this good stuff, which, you know, I don't have patience for that. So I'll put the egg and the milk, the food coloring, and the vanilla. all in there. And mix her all up. If I had mixed all for all 4 pies, I don't know. I had Googled to see some people do bake 4 pies at a time in the oven. It's big enough. You have to have them separated enough so that the air circulates. But I figured I was pushing my luck on that, so I thought I'll just do 2. All right. Put this in the sink. Don't get that over. All right. Measure. It looks pink enough to me. What I'm gonna do is take my cup and kind of divvy it up this way. I smashed that a little bit because I put them in the, stacked them in the garage out there. Can you see them? Don't get over. So I'll take my 2-cupper. I know, eyeballing. Scoot this around a little bit. You can see how it starts getting liquidy because the sugar and a little bit of salt, you know, starts drawing that moisture out of those stalks. And that's why you don't, and especially the kind of weather we've had and so much rain, it's pretty hardy. I just hope I have enough thickener in there. If not, I guess you'll eat it as a cobbler. I'm just gonna divvy this. I won't mix the second batch up till these are about done because you can see if they set, they would just keep getting more liquefied, and then I don't know how long it'd even take to bake the darn things and they'd probably run all over the oven, so I won't do that. When you get it ready, you need to be ready to pop it in. Got some on the, pick that little bit up. Oh. All right, look like they're kind of equal. Sticky, sticky. I think that's everything. Yep. So if you can see, if you get your other crumb topping made ahead of time, and I suppose I'll be a little more. I would just usually use my hands, but this is what we're gonna do. You just want to cover that real well. The other one here, so I can make sure I have enough. I'm gonna wipe that get that on my shirt, I will be mad. It will stain it. And I guess I'll see if I don't have enough cornstarch for the other ones. At least one of them. I'll see how this will, how this ratio of the 4 tablespoons did with this as it bakes. It's all over my stove, and I know I should have added more. So, and I probably will make some rhubarb jelly, because we all like that, and we do give it as gifts at Christmas. And probably another cobbler or 2 or something in between, if not a pie. And then I'll freeze some of it. Do the same way, clean it, chop it, dice it, put it in the double baggie in the freezer. And then, my plans were, I had some frozen from last year, and I was going to make another batch of rhubarb, but I don't know how. I seemed like I was busy and just never did it. Most of that is just prep work, getting things ready. It doesn't usually take time, so much time, if you plan ahead and get everything out. But it does just take some time. Baggy's covered. All right. To have it right to the edges. I'll put that foil on it. This is what I mean. This works so much nicer because you could just, and it's stiff and it holds up to put in the oven. My homemade one here, it's kind of, but it'll have to do. It'll probably blow off by the time I put it in the oven. But so they're ready to go. Only have a few minutes. It'll be up. How long do I bake it? I'll check it as it goes to make sure that it's browning like I say. And then the crust part near the end, I'll remove that. And it takes about 50 minutes to an hour to bake these. So we'll see. You can hold off for the end result. So then when these come out, I'll do the second batch and it'll be basically the same. All right, ready? All right. So, as you can see, I meant to tell you, just in case, I put a pan underneath these because you can tell the juice starts running out and running over. And hopefully they're done. They look kind of soupy. I hope it's not. I hope that cornstarch will thicken up as they cool. But there's 2 pies. So it says for 50 minutes. I started them at 40 and just checked. And then put on another 10 minutes and checked again. And then I took off the foil pans and the foil that was around the edge. And then I let them bake another 8 minutes. I'll have to add up the total time, but it's just eyeballing it. The very end here, I just turned the broiler on. Got these guys a little brown just to kind of hopefully crispen up the top. So 2 down, 2 more to go. All right, the second group of pies is done. I just turned the broiler on, so this is where you watch. It's bubbling. My oven door stays shut for some reason. It asks you to have it closed. Usually when you broil, you don't. So you got to watch it. And I guess when you're down here, you pray that, yeah, they'll be good. They'll come out really good. So the timing wasn't much difference. These are glass plates. The other ones were crock dish plates, and I thought there might be a little difference in that, but we'll know that when we cut into them maybe. But they should be done all the way through. Just about 30 seconds. I think I'll clear it so that I won't burn them like I did the other one. And they're running out, which is true to course. All right, let's get these puppies out. Ooh. See that? A little aerobic exercise doing this too. There we go. And you can see my pan. Well, I needed a bigger pan, it looks like, huh? For the 2 pies. For 1 pie it would have been okay. That's not bad. Keep that foil pan under there so I can just throw it away. So here we go. 4 pies. They look pretty good. I guess the test will be tomorrow. As you know, tomorrow is Mother's Day. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Anyways, tomorrow's Mother's Day, and this is my gift to you girls. You're all our awesome moms, and it really is a blessing for me to have you all in my life, that's for sure. So we'll see how they taste. Maybe Papa and I will christen ours tonight. Uncle Jim said he wasn't crazy about rhubarb pie, but I bet if I take him some, he'll eat it up. I left this little whisk out because I couldn't tell you, maybe you kids will remember how many years ago you got me this for a Mother's Day gift. And that's surely been a remarkable tool because it has held up. It's right up there with that weeder that Chad got me one Mother's Day. Your dad is always amazed that that thing is still held together. Now watch, I'll probably bust it this week. It probably will wear through. So anyways, hopefully the gift will be good, and this is the way we have to do it this year. So my love to you all. Hugs and kisses.